now we get into this stuff. So what we're really talking about conditional statements, what we're really talking about is basically three forms. You have the original conditional, if then. And then you have these three alternative forms. The converse, the inverse, and the contrapositive. It's not really difficult to handle here. We're going to show you some new symbolism that goes along with this. The way you would read this is read if P, then Q. That's what that little arrow means. If P, then Q. So what does the P represent?
Hypothesis.
The hypothesis. What does the Q represent?
Conclusion.
The conclusion. So here we go. The converse, you're going to flip the oh my goodness, you're going to flip the conclusion with the hypothesis. So they're going to switch places. So how would you say that?
Like what?
If I'm switching my conclusion and my hypothesis, they're going to switch where they're written. How would you say that?
Q with P.
Nope. Mason? He said then Q if P.
I didn't say then.
Oh.
I said Q.
If P? No. It's literally, you're going to leave if and then alone, and you're going to swap Q and P. So if Q, then P. If Q, then P. That's the converse. The inverse is the negative of the original. It's the negative of the original. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn these into not statements. So for example, if I say, if the sun rises, the not of that would be what? Doesn't rise. So you're going to make it into a negative statement. Okay, that's all. You're going to add a not in there. You guys forgot to make that grammatically correct. But you're basically throwing the not in there. The way we represent that with symbols is we have this little tilde. So if not P, then not Q. If not P, then not Q. And then finally, the contrapositive is the negative of the converse. It's the negative of the converse. So how would I say that, Cordell?
If not Q, then not Q.
Perfect. So if not Q, then not P. Alright. Let's do example 5 together. So all chimpanzees love bananas. Alright. We need to write a conditional statement for that. So Amber, what would be my conditional statement that I could write based on that information?
If there's a chimpanzee and loves bananas.
Perfect. If there's a chimpanzee that loves bananas. And pajamas. Every time I think about bananas, I want to remember bananas and pajamas.
I miss them.
Hated that show. It was just ridiculously dumb. Bananas and pajamas. You guys never know any of the show going on.
I watched it.
All right, letter B. Converse. What is the converse? Mike, what would be my converse? It would be
if it loves bananas, then it's a chimpanzee.
If it loves bananas. That's a chimpanzee. Do we agree? And so again, for the converse, all we're doing is switching the order. Christina, talk to me about the inverse. Alright, so if it's not a chimpanzee, so that's the not P. If not P, then now take your conclusion and make that negative. Then it doesn't love bananas. And I know right now a lot of you guys are thinking, okay, what are we interesting? Really interesting. All right, so I know like right now a lot of you guys are thinking, we're sitting here, and you might feel like you're kind of sitting here in English class. So yeah. But that's really is the foundation to geometry, is through these conditional statements. All right, and that's really kind of why it's important we get this down today. As we start moving through, we're building in on that logic, the foundation of logic. So it's kind of important we get these down. I know we're just dealing with simple, funny statements. But that's really kind of where we're going with this. When we start getting into theorems, when we get into postulates, and we get into proofs, it's really important that you understand how conditional statements work and what they can tell you and what you cannot assume based on conditional statements. All right, letter D. Looking at the contrapositive. Danielle.
If it doesn't love bananas, then it's not a chimpanzee.
Doesn't love bananas. It's not a chimpanzee. There you go. We got that chicken scratch. All right. Are we getting this though? Kind of get what we're doing here? All right. Here's what I want you guys to do. We're going to pause the notes for a minute. And we think about, and I ask you guys a question, is the statement true? This is somewhere you need to make a little note within your own notes. A true statement is something that is always true. So when we think about mathematics, we look at the theorems and the postulates, and we talk about geometry. If it's a true statement, it has to always be true. Otherwise, it's considered to be a false statement. So we don't want it to be true in just one case. It has to be true in all cases. So we look at number 8. If the sun is shining, then it is hot. Is that a true statement?
No.
All right, so therefore that is a false statement. So we're talking about truth value of a statement. Basically, the truth value means it's either true or it's false. That's your truth value. So you guys still admit that this is a false statement?
Yep.
Okay, next word that we're going to talk about today is counterexample. Counterexample. And all a counterexample is an example that shows the statement is false. This is your best day. This is when you guys get to be teenagers for once, and you actually get to argue and prove that someone is wrong. Oh, goody. Yes.
Can you say what it is again, please?
Yes. A counterexample is an example that shows the statement is false. So you guys told me that if the sun is shining, then it is hot. You said, that's a false statement, Mr. Thomas. Prove it to me. How is that a false statement? Ashley?
Like right now with winter, the sun can be shining, it can be like below 6 outside.
Yes. Because the sun is still shining during winter. Perfect. There you go. There's your truth value. There's your counterexample. Okay. That makes sense? Okay. That's counterexamples. So we just went over all the if-then statements, right? You have your converse, inverse, and contrapositive. Converse is if Q, then P. Inverse, if not P, then not Q. And then the contrapositive, if not Q, then not P. Okay, so, homework for tonight. By the way, what was the title of our lesson?
Conditional statement.
Conditional statement. So guess what your homework is?
Conditional
Conditional
statement.
statement. Plus, homework challenge. Why do we do homework challenge? That's a great question.
Yeah. No, but there's